Welcome back to Tempo Storm's deck introductions featuring Hand Buff Paladin. Last winter, the mean streets of Gadgetzan unleashed several new archetypes. The Cabal and the Jade Lotus walked the streets of Gadgetzan with heads held high, enabling powerful strategies and high legend performances. The Grimy Goons were left in the dust, seeing little representation until now. Hand Buff Paladin has found a place in the Frozen Throne meta thanks to Brian Kibler's popularization of the deck. The introductions of Prince Keleseth, Righteous Protector, and Bone Mare gave the gang new tools that bolstered its buffing strategy. While the deck has achieved convincing results, it's not enough to elevate the deck above tier 3. However, we expect Hand Buff Paladin to become a prevalent force in the upcoming weeks as a resilient mid-range option. This could be the month where the Grimy Goons finally make their mark. Hand Buff Paladin is built as either a mid-range or aggressive deck. It relies on building big plays with Smuggler's Run and Prince Keleseth to outvalue an opponent's early game strategy. You'll always want to find either of these cards in your opening hand since the deck sacrifices its 2 mana slot to enable the strategy. By turn 3, you're overwhelming your opponent with high statted minions for pretty much the rest of the game. Hand Buff Paladin players will rely on the strength of their curve to beat back aggressive opponents until they regain control. Eldor Peacekeeper and Sunkeeper Tarim neutralize significant mid to late game threats. Rallying Blade and Righteous Protector provide early game defense against aggro archetypes. Stonehill Defender and Wickerflame Burn Bristle serve as well-rounded 3 mana taunt minions that generate resources and life gain. With a dense range of 3 and 4 mana cards, the archetype is at its most powerful in the mid game. Corpse Taker gives you a strong turn 4 option, while Spellbreaker and Chillblade Champion can respond to big threats. The defensive options available to the deck makes it possible to protect a Grime Street Enforcer and provide reliable targets for Spike-Ridged Steed and Bone Mare near later turns. Finally, Tirion Forge-Ring and the Lich King close out the game. Grinding your opponent with your buffed up minions will snowball the game in your favor. Lifesteal minions give you recovery options against aggro, while your late game threats apply pressure against controlled decks. Winning battles of attrition and value is the core strategy of Hand Buff Paladin and one of the defining features of the Paladin class. There are a few subtle situations where you can gain extra value out of your cards. Spellbreaker is ideal for breaking through taunt walls to remove high priority targets, but you can also save it for situations where you're at risk of losing your board to combos like Frost Nova Doomsayer. Also keep in mind that the Control Mage list uses polymorphs, so distribute buffs such as Spike-Ridged Steed and Bone Mare to deny value. Don't forget to sequence your attacks in a turn where you plan on dropping Sunkeeper Tarim. For instance, a Grime Street Enforcer can remove a Murloc before Tarim is played to retain the largest board possible. Though the deck's strategy relies on filling out your curve every turn, remember that your cards can create win conditions against specific matchups. The most prominent example is your ability to heal against aggro decks. Finding more Wickerflame Burn Bristles from Stonehill Defender and Corpse Takers will gain you enough life to stay out of reach from explosive finishers like Bloodlust and Token Shaman. Respecting Devolve by not overcommitting your life gain minions will also give you more opportunities to heal. With little in the way of card draw, you might have to use Stonehill Defender to fill out your curve. This will depend on the matchup. A second Tirion Forge Ring is great, but against aggro, you may want to find a lower costed minion to contest the board. Finally, Hand Buff Paladin will always be the aggressor in control matchups. The Frozen Throne has equipped old archetypes with late game strategies that demolish mid-range decks. You will struggle to keep up against Blood Reaver Gul'dan or Frost Lich Jaina's healing, and Shadow Reaper Anduin has recently found itself in a consistent list that bursts opponents for 20 damage with Felon and Mind Blast in combination with Void Form. Hand Buff Paladin is able to beat these decks and race against Jade Druid if a player remembers to close out the game quickly. Hand Buff Paladin can be reasonably teched to the meta thanks to the stat buffs provided by Prince Keleseth and Smuggler's Run. Black Knight is the most consistent of your tech options due to the amount of Druid and Paladin in the meta. Punching through Jade Behemoth against Jade Druid and Primordial Drake and the Lich King against control decks synergizes with the deck's game plan. Golakka Crawler and Hungry Crab can be switched out from Black Knight and the Lich King in a more aggressive meta. Righteous Protector can be dropped for Doppelgangster if you find yourself struggling to retain a board against control decks. Uther of the Ebon Blade provides greater reach against control decks, making it twice as likely for you to equip an Ashbringer by turn 9 between the Death Knight and Tirion Forge Ring. However, only consider the switch in the greediest of metas. The story of Hand Buff Paladin's successful resurrection shows us that the time for exploring innovative decks is far from over. As long as you're finding the right tech options for the meta and taking advantage of the deck's versatility to adapt to your opponent, Hand Buff Paladin will likely be a strong deck to climb the ladder with in the coming weeks. With Kazaka's Priest expected to succeed in the post-patch meta, this will be the time to mix up the pecking order in Gadgetzan. To see how this archetype fits in the current meta, be sure to check out our most recent Tempo Storm meta snapshot. And as always, thank you for watching. Leave us a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and join the discussion in the comments below. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to stay up to speed with all of Tempo Storm's news and Hearthstone content.